Well, hey there, Tim. Welcome back to the channel, and welcome to something a little bit different. Bit of an off-the-cuff opinion piece, I think piece. I don't even want to say that. I don't know what I'm going to call it or title it. Generally speaking, I stay in my lane with overviews and review videos, right? It's not very complicated. I live a pretty simple life. I'm a normie gamer. However, I do actually feel compelled to do a bit of a follow-up video to the Dragon Age stuff. Now, this isn't sort of in a vacuum. This isn't just a straight response to my fairly poorly received overview, but more that while scrolling through Twitter today, randomly I just saw a Dragon Age clip and clicked on it. I try really hard to stay out of this stuff. I think maybe that's why there's such a disconnect with me and some of my angry audience is like, I really do try not to absorb as much of this stuff as possible and live in this fantasy world where it's Nirvana and it's still 20 years ago when games didn't have this nonsense. But I digress already. But I clicked on this clip, which I recorded, and I'll show you. The long and short of it is, watching that was so incredibly repulsive that it makes me want to just put Dragon Age in the bin and not play it at all. For those not across it, in my 2-hour video, I speculated that a lot of the sort of, in this particular case, it relates to this non-binary character, I think that's what they call it. And I speculated that, well, a lot of the people reacting to it haven't played it, right? Pretty much all of the feedback, 95% of all the reviews, and that's a whole thing apparently. I'm only just learning about this now because I'm not really in the privileged YouTuber class. If I get passed over for a key, then so be it. This game was being fairly well received. A lot of the discourse was around, you know, the gameplay and a return to form apparently is a term thrown around a lot. And the counterpoint of people being angry and vitriolic consists of no one that had played the game at all. Now, I'm not saying that that diminishes your opinion, but what strengthens one's opinion would be to actually play it and give it a go. So, and I put this across in the video that if it is a companion just like a Mass Effect companion, that is causing this divisiveness, then perhaps it's self-contained and you could just ignore the companion and play the game. It would seem that's not the case at all. This stuff is very heavy-handed and in your face. And while I've only just dipped my toe down the rabbit hole now, I'll play this clip for a bit of context. But the thing that really just made me do a 180 and blow my top immediately is the hypocrisy, right? The setup being that this non-gender person is actively and antagonistically being hypocritical to this other guy, won't call him by his name and all that sort of stuff. Whereas if you flip the script, this dude would be a villain. Anyway, have a look at this.
We could use a second sober voice.
I'm not drunk. You're drunk.
It's a figure of speech.
Huh, I was wondering when this would happen.
I don't follow.
You two didn't seem to be bonding.
I need one of these little needle things to dig some crap out of my armor. Death Mage won't give me one.
First, a bone threader is an extremely delicate instrument. Second, it's Emric. Tash, my name is Emric, not Death Mage, not Corpse Guy, not... I won't repeat the rest.
What? You are a Death Mage.
Why are all my attempts to converse with you met with scorn? What have I done to you, Tash?
You talk about corpses too much.
It's a rich topic.
No, corpses are messed up. They used to have people in them. You make a move like they're alive, but...
Anyway, that'll do it. I don't even really want to watch the rest of it, but that gives you the idea of what's gotten under my skin here. But as you can see in the clip, I don't think it's uncharitable if I were to give you the blow-by-blow. You have this grey character basically intentionally not using this dude's name calling him, doing everything possible to just be difficult. And then when he appeals to her as to, you know, what is the problem? Well, she just triples down on, you know, how the reasoning, right? As opposed to, I think any reasonable person would just probably apologize, as opposed to explaining that, you know, because they don't like it. I can't even believe I'm talking about this crap. It's like preschool stuff. But because she doesn't like necromancy, that gives her the right to basically pick on this dude. But the hypocrisy is wild, because if it was the other way around, and I have now seen some clips where they're making a big deal about this non-binary pronoun crap with all sorts of other characters as well. So it would seem the knife doesn't cut both ways when it should. And this is the thing that just boils my blood, right? I'm in Australia. Over here, we have a lot of laws over what I'm allowed to say around gender issues. You can get sacked if you don't observe the rights properly. You could probably have the law come down on you as well. And while I'm trying my best to navigate all this, I suppose here's a main sort of takeaway. People being upset that this crap is in Dragon Age are totally right to be. Apart from my previous commentary or criticism in previous video about how it does still feel kind of BioWare in a lot of its construction, they should have just made a new IP, right? They should have done something like Tell Me Why, right? There's a game you're never going to play, but you can look it up. But why didn't they just do this in a new IP? Obviously, the answer is because this is malicious, right? They're trying to slip this crap past the goalkeeper through an established franchise. Because here's the thing. I will say it as plainly as I can within my legal restrictions. There is a not insignificant part of the core gaming audience, which I would say, honestly, I think is the majority, who do not subscribe to this new gender stuff. And there's a very big difference about making original new IP that wants to bring that into that universe. But there's something kind of evil, and I'm not talking about gender stuff specific, but I'm talking about the behavior of interacting with your fellow gamer, fellow man. There is something kind of evil about slipping this stuff into an established franchise and then treating it as a foregone, given and accepted fact. There we go. I think I've danced around that well enough, whilst conveying what I think the core problem is. These developers want to take something that's in contention in the real world, try and make it real by Trojan horsing it in someone else's franchise. Think about that sentence I said. I didn't even say what the issue is or anything specifically, so you can copy paste that sentiment about anything and you will come out with the same answer at the end. That is malicious, evil behavior. Anyway, look, I don't want to waffle too much because, again, I don't necessarily want to be one of those channels. We've flirted with the edge of it when this same sort of bullshit came up when I looked at Suicide Squad. Okay, so for what it's worth, I do apologize. I don't think there's any problem ever with apologizing when you find fault with something that you've done. I don't apologize for most of the video that I did, but for calling people zealots, for getting vitriolic and angry and pushing back about this stuff, I do apologize for that because, in light of this sort of stuff, they're right. It's a tough call for someone to be measured and reasoned when the other side of whatever the issue is doing this kind of underhanded crap. So yeah, if you've made it this far and you took offense to my wordplay and sentiment, I do apologize. However, look, the other side of it is, and this leaves me on an island, right? I know, since we're talking about it now, and I might as well, I'm not a dummy. I realize that like 90% of the gaming dev scene is incredibly, what would you call it? Leftist, woke, all these catchphrases. I get it. And honestly, I'm too small of a fish to be on too many blacklists, though I could tell you stories. I'm on some blacklists. But I think a lot of them don't realize that, in a way, I'm the enemy because I'm just a reasonable person. And I try my best to sort of ride that lightning. I'm not hiding anything. I really am not. I just don't want to be a progressive extremist. But on the other side, I do not want to be part of these new wave YouTube channels where their entire business model is just reporting on everything negative they can possibly find in the industry. I don't want to live that way. I don't want that in my diet. I cannot understand how you can get out of bed and your research for the video for the day is how on fire the gaming industry is. I'm not saying burying my head in the sand is the way to do it either, but like this is Scarlett having a human moment saying that, like I said, I feel like I'm on an island. I just want to play games. I kind of want to be left alone, and I don't really want to weigh in on stuff other than when it's forced into the game, as it is in this case. Anyway, look, I find this exhausting. And to be perfectly honest, this sort of shit makes me want to just throw in the towel and stop gaming, full stop. Like, forget the channel. Channel's cool, I enjoy it, and I'm glad people enjoy it as well, right? But I've recognized that even to an extent, I'm a bit too terminally online, and I feel like, compared to a lot of people, I'm pretty lukewarm on that. Like, I'm getting out more, I've joined a sports team, I'm working off the man boobs and getting fit again, and it's a cool thing. And I do wonder, I predicted this with the Suicide Squad, I do wonder if a lot of the disaffected men that play games, because I think I sort of sit in that category, I guess, fighting the compulsion to get counter activists, that sort of thing. But I feel like maybe I do even represent a giant chunk of normies that don't comment, that don't weigh in, that don't get vitriolic. And I wonder if these blokes, feeling the same way as me, will probably sooner walk away from gaming, full stop, and accept, now this is going to upset everybody, but have a moment, look inward. It's a toy for adults, right, that are adrift. I get it. I love gaming, I do. But if this is just going to be a non-stop battleground for people's political soul, I would sooner just uninstall Steam and go outside and, kick the football around. Maybe that's just me. But like I said, I'm old, I'm unfit, I play lots of games, and even then, this stuff, it just makes me want to give up on it. Anyway, boohoo poor me, but like I said, a little bit of a human moment, just sharing where I'm at as well. But in closing, I feel like I would probably rather walk away from gaming before I follow it all the way down the drain hole. And I wonder how many other people feel that way. Anyway, I've lost the thread a little bit. Again, I'm not want to do these more personal videos, but I felt that this seemed appropriate. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. And I don't know how to wrap this up, so fuck off.